It seems we can't get away from this rain through July. It's just never ending. And it's not that warm again. I've had a look at a future forecast for July as well, and it seems like this weather is going to continue right until end of month. It's going to make it a lot slower for plants to ripen when it's like that, but fingers crossed that August is a lot better. Thanks to people making donations to the channel, we've been stocking up on compost. We've got quite a few bags of that in, so we can carry on with these future projects that we're doing. And I've also got more feed as well, and I've got quite a mix of it. We've got as liquid seaweed and some tomato food, and as always we get fish blood and bone. I think that's the one that we use the most of, but I also stocked up on some more bone meal. Got plenty of calcium in it, plenty of phosphorus. It's a pretty good all-round slow release fertiliser. And then I got some of this Grow More 777. So this has basically got equal amounts of everything in it. So it basically contains 7% nitrogen, 7% potassium and 7% phosphorus. So a good all-rounder, unless you're feeding plants that don't need as much nitrogen like beans and peas. So we're starting to get a little bit of a mixture of fertilisers in, so then we can experiment and see which one works best with which plant. So to everybody that's made donations to the channel, that enables us to buy different products and stock up on compost at the same time while we're making these videos, thank you very much, really appreciate it. And while we're on that subject, thank you very much to Serenity, who made a donation to this channel quite recently. If you saw yesterday's video, which I'm sure you did, you'll notice that we've had a bit of a problem with blossom end rot. And it's a shame really, because it just happens to be the first time growing these Italian plum tomatoes, and that's where it's happened. We've only lost a couple of tomatoes so far, so fingers crossed the next lot that start to ripen won't be affected by that. And we've done various things to try and help it along. We're trying to maintain that consistent watering, because that can be something that leads to that problem. And we've added a little boost of calcium. And beyond that, there's not much anything else we can do at the moment. But yesterday afternoon, I did do a couple of extra bits and bobs. And Charlotte did ask if I will continue to follow progress of that plant. And yes, of course I will, because that's what this channel's all about. Not everything goes to plan through here. So we don't swerve away from anything that's not quite worked out, because that's not helping you out if you're a new gardener. So we do our best to solve problems any way we can. And I've made a couple of changes to those plants since we made that video yesterday, and I'll show you what we've done. It certainly is a gloomy day. So we'll go back in here. And these are those plants from yesterday. And what I've done is, I was cutting grass yesterday. So I've used that grass to mulch round bottom of all of these plants. And that's going to help retain moisture more consistently. And I've also stripped back lots of branches off these plants. That's the one that's looking worse for wear. Well, we're not sure if it's going to pull through or not, but we have still got a couple of fruits on there that's not affected at the moment, and we have got a few more flowers. So hopefully this plant will recover and give us some fruit. But over this side, I've really stripped everything back. So basically exposing all those fruits that's on these plants. And the reason I've done that is, if there's any kind of a nutrient deficiency in this soil, it's not going to help while this plant is trying to grow lots and lots of leaves and branches. And although I've left quite a lot of foliage on, you can see that I've stripped quite a lot back, because that's also going to help ripen these tomatoes, because they're now getting more light. And I don't want to lose all these plum tomatoes. There's absolutely loads on this one plant alone. And again, we've mulched all the way around bottom. So that's one change that I've made.
And also we've got another flower on that Jack the Little pumpkin plant, which is brilliant because we have already got one fruit growing on there, as you can see. And we've started redirecting that plant now across that bench. And it's put lots more growth on. And I also gave all these plants a big feed of liquid seaweed. And for now that's all we can do. But yeah, Charlotte, we'll definitely keep following progress of these plants and see how they get on. I'm just back in there looking at this cucumber plant again. It's starting to go a bit crazy, this plant. There's flowers on it absolutely everywhere. And it's getting taller and taller. It's just starting to go above those canes. But look at this tendril. Little things amuse me at times. That tendril's come off this plant and it's searching for somewhere to grab hold of. So it's gone inside that cane, just so it can get a grip. Plants are amazing, how they adapt to the surroundings. That's them 2 little cucumbers that I shown you the other day. And you can see that they've put quite a bit of growth on. And there's another one. And another one. These plants are very productive. There's 2 tiny ones down there as well, if you can see those. They're basically everywhere on this plant. We are, however, going to reach a point where we want to maintain cucumber plants. You can just let them go wild if you want to, but we did have a question quite recently about cucumbers not growing too big and not ripening fast enough. And that's because the plant, as this one is trying to grow too much. It's concentrating more on sending out new vines like this one. This is the main vine that we started with, that we're growing up. But as these plants grow, new ones are going to start shooting off. And of course, as these new ones grow, they'll grow new leaves. They'll produce flowers. And then they'll try and grow cucumbers. And you not just get one of those doing that, you'll find them all over your plant. There's another one there, and already that one is trying to grow 2 more baby cucumbers. In fact, there's 3 on it. So that's a lot of energy for this plant. If you want your cucumbers to grow bigger or ripen faster, what you need to do is, as these plants grow, select the vine you're keeping from the very base, which is this one growing up, and then we fed it all the way up there. That's our main vine. And then when you get to that point and you see another one coming off it, which is there, as that grows from the very start, cut it off before it gets to this point, because then all the energy that would have been used by that extra vine will go into the existing cucumbers, so they'll grow bigger and they'll ripen quicker as well. So if you want to do that, that's perfectly fine to do. All you need to do is make sure that you're cutting off those vines and not the sun leaves, because the plant needs the sun leaves to stay on there. These are obviously all your sun leaves, and as your plant's growing, it then produces fresh shoots, and it's the shoots that you need to get rid of, just same as you would suckers on your tomato plants. If you see a side shoot on your cucumbers, it's perfectly fine to cut those off. We've got that one there that we've just been looking at. You can see that that one has come from that main stem. Just there. So we could have cut that off and prevented it from growing all these extra leaves and producing more cucumbers. And you could still cut that off now if you wanted to. You just have to trace that vine back and you'll see where it originally came from, which is right there. So you could snip that off if you wanted to, and then let that plant concentrate on the fruits that are already on there. But what I also like to do is grow baby cucumbers, because then we can just pickle those whole. So for now, I'm just going to leave this plant doing what it does. We checked these peppers out quite recent as well, and there was one in particular that was a really good size, and since then it's grown even more. That is a nice big pepper. Not yet ripening, but it'll get there. And I think it's definitely time we took this cucumber. It's got to a nice size and it's nice and fat as well. So we'll take that one off and let that smaller one grow on. Beaut. So as always, it comes down to you. Whatever size you want to pick your cucumbers, whether they be nice big fat ones like that, or you prefer to take a few small ones to pickle all, or even chop into tiny slices to sprinkle over your salads. If you're happy with average sized cucumbers, you can just let that plant go wild. It will just keep sending out more shoots, which will produce more flowers and make more and more cucumbers. But you are going to get smaller cucumbers by doing that. But I'm perfectly happy with that, because we can pickle cucumbers whole if we want to. And as you've just seen, we have made a few changes in that greenhouse with those tomato plants. I'm trying to make sure that as much energy is going into those fruits rather than extra branches and leaves that we don't really need. And maybe that will help improve the plant, because it's going to need less water and less nutrients, because it's not trying to feed a plant that was originally twice that size. So that's one thing that we've done, and then we've mulched around bottom with some old grass cuttings, and hopefully that will retain water more consistently. So that's two things that we've done, and then we've added some liquid seaweed to give those nutrients a boost at the same time, because it's not just about calcium. They need nitrogen, phosphorus, magnesium and potassium, amongst other bits and bobs. So it doesn't hurt to boost those plants. And yes, Charlotte will definitely keep following progress of those plants, and fingers crossed they'll all pull through. But if they don't all pull through, maybe the second wave of tomatoes from those flowers that are still on there will eventually give us some really nice ripe plum tomatoes. But if they don't, we'll go to plan B, and I'll pick every single tomato off every one of those plants, because some of them are a really good size, and I'll take them indoors and I'll ripen them indoors. Either way, I'm determined we're going to get something. Anyway, I've got a few jobs to do this afternoon, as well as a potato freezing video on cooking channel. So I'm going to pop back in, since it's continuously raining today, and we'll get that sorted and we'll get that uploaded today at some point. And if you've not seen cooking channel yet and seen what we do with all this produce, then there's a link in the description. So why not pop over and take a look. And I'll probably be back out here a little bit later, finding something else to do. I'll see you then. Take care.